Good afternoon, all. Welcome to the third session of the first day of the online faculty development program on solar energy technologies and applications, organized by the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Jyoti Engineering College, Thrissur, sponsored by AICT Training and Learning Atal Academy, New Delhi. Today, we are very glad to have Dr. M. Mohan Raj as a resource person. Dr. Mohan Raj received his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from University of Madras, master's degree in refrigeration and air conditioning from Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore, and PhD degree in mechanical engineering from National Institute of Technology, Calicut. He has nearly 20 years of working experience, which include both teaching and research. Currently, he is working as professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore. He is a visiting researcher at Al Farabi Kazakh National University, Republic of Kazakhstan. He has guided 5 PhD scholars and currently guiding 8 scholars under Anna University. Dr. Mohan Raj has published research articles in 72 peer-reviewed international journals, 30 national and international conferences, and 4 patents. He has executed 4 funded projects and 5 consultancy projects funded by various national and international agencies, including the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, All India Council for Technical Education, Center of Science and Technology Evaluation, Republic of Kazakhstan, and Ministry of Higher Education, Republic of Kazakhstan. He is serving as guest editor, editorial board member, and a reviewer for many international peer-reviewed journals, including well-known publishers like Springer and Science Direct. His area of interest include refrigeration and air conditioning, renewable energy utilization, energy conservation and management, with special focus on solar energy. On behalf of the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Jyoti Engineering College, I extend our heartiest welcome to Mohan Raj sir. Wishing you all a wonderful session ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your warm welcome. And is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It is clear.
Can I proceed?
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
First of all, I would like to thank the management of Jyoti Engineering College for making this wonderful FDP sponsored by Atal program with the ACT. And I also thank the organizers of the Jyoti Engineering College for choosing this good topic. It's of the current scenario. And I also special thank to Deepan Raj for inviting me as a resource person for this program. I'm going to share my few of my research experience in the field of solar. I think somebody is please mute the mic.
And
Some
the
disturbance is
two
coming.
please.
Please.
To the pins on the opposite sides of the fulcrum of the lever.
So please.
At distances of 40 mm.
Sir, Sitaram Rao garu.
That is the distances of the
Excuse
fulcrum
me,
are
Mr.
A and
Sitaram
B
Rao.
is given here. And the angle of contact is also given as 270 degrees and the coefficient of friction is 0.2. Determine the braking torque.
So please mute the mic.
Applied to the lever at a distance of 800 mm from the fulcrum. That is the applied.
Sir, just a second. The host will mute the mic.
And the
Host,
distance
please
of the
host,
lever is given.
mute the mic.
801%, that is L is given.
Okay. So now it's audible. It's okay. Clear.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to share a few of my experience in the field of solar air heaters. As a joint supervisor, and I have apart from the regular supervisor, in my laboratory I developed the solar air heaters, and we are trying to use this some packed wet, and we are trying to extend that work with some jet management techniques. So I'm going to share a few of the my experience in the field of solar air heaters. Before we are going to this presentation, we should understand what is the need of solar air heaters and what is the practical drawbacks we are facing with solar air heaters. Nowadays, the solar drying in India is one of the become the popular drying food processing methods to harvest the solar energy, and we can convert into the useful heat output in the form of hot air. And this hot air is utilized for extracting the moisture and to control the moisture of the product, specific agricultural products in the controlled environment, so that we can get the dried products. Which I think the everybody is aware of this dried products and having a very high market value. So for that reason, and also to extend the life of the products, so it is very essential to control the moisture content in any product, any agricultural products. So for this, we may require solar air heaters. Nowadays, the solar air heaters in the continental climates, we are extending it for the space heating, and it is also we are extending that application for ventilation also. Passive ventilation also we can use this solar air heaters. And also nowadays there are people that start thinking of using the, why not we can use the hot air for humidification process, especially in the desalination applications. So the focus of the solar air heater applications nowadays will become more wider and wider, and the research on solar air heaters is also gets increasing every year by year. So I came across with several literature review of many. There are many papers that are published on the solar air heaters, and especially for a new research scholar, those who are working in a field of renewable energy or in any thermal science. So I can suggest it to go ahead with this. This is a very simple concept, and we can explore with an n number of new thoughts, and we can explore this concept of solar air heaters for many applications. So still there's a very big research gap is there, and one can focus. This is a very can develop the solar air heaters with a minimum cost of around 40 to 50,000 rupees, with the seed money available within our institution, or we can bear this very minimum amount for our PhD work and for any publication work. So that possibility is there. So so those who want to those who are in the beginning level of the PhD research can focus on the solar air heaters is one of the major thrust areas. So then and having solar air heaters is having more scope for the further research. For example, we can improve the observer heat absorption rate by changing the morphology of the observer plate, by increasing the roughness, or by increasing some pin fins, or by increasing some fins or baffles, and so many things. Even I can use some modified observer plates, so then it's possible to improve the performance of the solar air heaters. And also we can improve the heat transfer coefficient. We can go for some jet imagement, and jet imagement technique itself, still we have so more options for the performance enhancement. So I'm going to give a brief information on how to use the packed bed observer plate and how to use the jet imagement observer plate. So these two information concepts I have developed in my laboratory, and we are tested in as an outdoor experiments, and we can publish few papers. So I'm going to share this those informations in this presentation. So this is an outline of the presentation. It starts from introduction, and we can focus some applications of solar air heaters, and the problem identification, and performance enhancement studies, then experiments, then results and discussion, this conclusion. So this is my overview of the presentation. And before we entering into this solar air heaters, we should understand what is the meaning of solar air heaters. It's also one type of a heat exchanger. So solar collector is one type of a heat exchanger which harness the solar energy, and it is converting the solar thermal energy into useful heat. That heat output is in the form of hot air in the case of solar air heaters. This hot air is, as I said, this hot air is applicable for drying applications. So the reason for the drying application is that the high temperature, then definitely the moisture removal rate will be more. So when I also done some drying experiments in earlier 10 years back, especially for copra drying, because in nearby in Coimbatore district, so we are having the more coconut cultivation. So why not we can develop a small portable dryer for the processing of the coconut. So we also tried, and we have developed a small air heaters, and that air heaters we have tried with some sensible heat storage like sand and gravel, and I can extend the I can extend the uh, I can store some amount of heat in that solar air heaters, and it's possible to increase the duration more than 8 hours. So we'll get roughly 12 to 14 hours of hot air output, especially in the packed with solar air heaters. So, and I also can try it with some desalination applications. So I tried now, presently one of my student is working on air heat resistant desalination. That is also a very interesting one because the humidification process can be highly improved when the temperature of air is it's increased. So normally we are having the south part of India is having already the humidity is around 75 percentage. So the enhancing this further humidity is very somewhat difficult. For that reason, it is possible we are using we are heat the air before we are before it is entering into the solar still, so that uh, it is possible to increase the humidification process. So that process is also we are done, and so one of my PhD student is working on this particular solar air heater assisted desalination, and it's possible we can significantly we can improve the productivity of the solar stills with the help of if you are enhancing the temperature of air. And also for the ventilation applications in many buildings, so we are facing with the proper ventilation facilities. Because of that, it is very difficult. So because there is no space, so why not we can incorporate some air heaters. So it's a passive ventilation system. We can install this solar air collectors in the rooftop, and we can extract the we can get the it will create some pressure difference between the room and the outside, and it will take some amount of air from the room and to the outside. So that's also possible. And for the space heating, and especially for the continental climatic conditions, the continental climatic conditions like if it is a very extreme cold, then it is very difficult. Solar air heaters, it is very difficult because it is a again I'm telling it is an air is a poor heat transfer fluid because it is of having a poor thermophysical properties. So air is having a poor density, having very low specific heat, very low density, and very having the very low viscosity is an advantage is one, but it is having a low thermal conductivity. So everything it is very low when comparing to other fluids. So it is a very difficult to go for a very low temperature applications. Suppose if the ambient temperature is in between 0 and 10, then we can harvest the some amount of solar energy, and we can use the solar energy for heating the confined space. That is especially for the room. During the winter climates, it is possible to heat the room. So especially for the regions like an Ooty and so hill stations like Ooty, Kodaikanal in Tamil Nadu. So we have the hill stations, and they have the temperature of around. They have the mild cold temperature. They have the winter temperature in between 0 and 10 degrees centigrade. So for that temperature, if possible, we need to increase it to 25 degrees centigrade using some solar air heaters. So that possibility is there, but it is not in the commercialization because it is not a standardized one. So solar air heater is not a standard product. It is available in the market as like solar water heaters. So still there is so many research is to be to standardize this solar air heaters according to the requirements. For example, if it is required for a drying air, it should be having some standard dimension. Normally, with the solar air heaters, solar water heaters, it is available by 2 meter by 1 meter. That for the 100 to 125 liters capacity. So we are using it because we need a tempered glass. So the tempered glass availability is in for a different size is not there. So we can use the 2 meter by 1 meter standard availability, and we can use that for air heaters. And here this convective heat transfer coefficient, as I already said, this convective heat transfer coefficient is very low because of the poor thermophysical properties of air. So it is very difficult to enhance. So for example, if it is a water means we can add some nanoparticle, or we can add some additives to increase the to increase the thermal performance. Whereas in air, it is very difficult. It is not possible to increase the air. So by increasing for that reason, it is we can go for some different methods to increase. We can increase the air velocity, or we can increase the jet movement, or we can increase some heat storage, or we can increase this turbulence. We can create artificial turbulence, or we can create some observability of the observer plate. So we cannot do anything with the working fluid, but we can. So we may try. We may increase the velocity, or we can. So it's the thermophysical properties is it's not possible to change, especially for air. For other fluid, it may be. For water means thermophysical properties we can significantly we can increase by adding some additives. Whereas here in the case of air, it's not possible. So because of this poor heat transfer coefficient, and then it leads to the poor energy and energy efficiency, and also the poor exergy efficiency. So the poor exergy, energy and exergy efficiency, poor thermodynamic performance. So this is a very big challenging for solar air heaters. So how to improve? So normally the solar air heater efficiency may be around 30 to 35% if we are using a flat observer plate. So some maximum 30 to 35. If it is a very peak summer, we can achieve that 30 to 35%. Whereas we can use some turbulators, or we can use some fins, or we can use some baffles, and so many things that are done during the last two decades. So so many research and development activities have been progressed on this, especially on solar air heaters. And all the common conclusion is that because of poor heat transfer coefficient, it is very difficult to achieve maximum efficiency. So, based on this, so we are also try to improve this performance of solar air heaters with the help of some fins, pin fins, and using the packed bed, and also using some jet measurement techniques. And so these are some of the some typical applications reported in open literature. So these are not my research work. So this is research works reported in open literature. And here, this is the exclusive solar air heaters with the baffles. So we have this solar air heater airflow. When it is passing through this, having some deflector baffles, will creating some turbulence inside this air heater duct, and it will produce increasing the heat transfer coefficient very significantly. So that's possible. So this is a conventional solar air heater, which is made for some space heating applications. And this is the another thing is a solar air heater, which is used for desalination applications. So this solar air heater is used for desalination applications to increase this air heater is increasing the air temperature. The air heater is increasing the air temperature. Thereby, when the high temperature air, when it is approaching this desalination chamber, the humidification will be more active when at the high temperatures. So for that reason, we are preheat the air before entering into the desalination chamber. So here it is also for space heating. We are having this. This is a residential building. We are having the solar air collector. The solar air collector harvests the solar energy, and it will be passing through the room, and which will be the room which gets heated during the winter conditions. So if during the night time we are installing the resistance heater to maintain the heat. So or otherwise we can use some biomass assisted auxiliary heating system to maintain the temperature instead of resistance water heating systems. So this type of arrangements is meant for some room heating applications. And this is one research and development work reported by Professor Natarajan from Anna University, Chennai. So he developed some solar air heater assisted drying system, especially with the help of some regenerative materials. So here also we are using some solar air heaters. This is exclusively for drying applications. Tested for pineapples and for green peas. So they are used for the drying. And here, this is a typical schematic diagram illustrates how the solar air heater is integrated with the room for space heating. So this is a typical solar air heater with a double pass or maybe a triple pass, or whatever may be the number of pass, or maybe a different type. And it is Normally, this will create a small fan. This fan will, or otherwise, because of the density difference, and automatically it will circulate the harvest the solar energy, and it will create make the room to heat. So normally, in most of the continental climatic conditions, the large amount of energy they are spent for space heating. Because when we are going for some Russia, they're having the extreme cold weather conditions of up to -40 or -45 degrees centigrade. So achieving at the level of -45 degrees centigrade, it is our comfort temperature is 25 degrees centigrade. So -45 to plus 25 means it is a very huge temperature gap. So nearly 70 degree we need to enhance. So 70-degree temperature enhancement is not possible in solar air heaters, but it's to some extent we can heat. So that too in a very low temperature, heating the air is very difficult. So because air is a poor heat transfer fluid. So moreover, whatever the energy harvested in the solar air heaters, it should be properly, it should be distributed to the room. So that is also during the pumping and during the distribution that will be having so which very big losses are there. So it is very essential. So it is very hard to maintain the temperature, and it's very hard to harness the solar energy, and you can maintain the room temperature using solar air-heaters. But if the room temperature, if the ambient temperature is above 0 degree, to some extent we can use. But in some climatic conditions, we have even in some European countries, they're having the temperature above 0 degrees centigrade. So if it is above 0 degree, means the solar air heater is a good is one of the very good option for maintaining the comfort temperature of 25 degrees centigrade. So this is the typical passive ventilation system. They're used in a resident used in a very commercial building. Yes. Yes. Sir, can I proceed?
Yes, sir. Please proceed.
Okay.
Maybe some persons.
Okay, no problem. So this is a test room. They are having this one. This test room. They are having this. They're having the test room. From the test room, they are having installing the solar air heater. This solar air heater will create some pressure difference. So this will create some pressure difference between this atmospheric and the inside the room. So this will induce some airflow. So this automatically will create some passive airflow through this air heater duct, and it will create it will provide some enough ventilation inside the room space. So this again, I'm telling this solar air heater is a good option for ventilation, but it's not because of the standardization, because of lack of standardization, and also because of lack of. So we need to work out. So we need to work out for how much for 10 by 10 room, how much heat is required, how much temperature difference is required to increase this number of air change. For example, if it is a residential building, we have a different air change. If it is a hospital building, we may have a different air change. Or if it is some other buildings, for according to the application, we may have different air changes. So the air change, the number of air change, it should be predicted exactly, and we need to maintain the air change accordingly, and we have to design this solar air heater, and we can install on a rooftop so that we can maintain the very good ventilation system, passive ventilation system. Because for any commercial building, we came across with many commercial buildings, so they need some more air changes, especially for cloth centers. Many shopping centers, they're having a very concealed buildings, so they need to maintain air changes. So they need to maintain the proper ventilation. For maintaining that ventilation, we have to go for some fans. So the fan will consume more amount of energy. So why not we can go for some solar air heaters for the ventilation. So that application is also there. So still it is in the research level, but we need to explore more, especially in this particular topic. So we need to standardize it. Standardization is very, very important. For example, for a 10 by 10 room, we may install 1 ton air conditioner. Roughly, blindly we can go and ask, we can buy a 1 ton air conditioner for a 10 by 10 room. But for a 10 by 10 room ventilation requirement, what will be the ventilation requirement? How much air heater is required? So such type of standardization is lagging. So this is one of the major research topic which we can identify, and we can this particular thing. And one of the major challenge is to make this, develop the air heater, standardize, and commercialize this solar air heater, especially for ventilation application. That is a major research challenge. So once we can develop a product, can test and for a different climatic conditions and for the different rooms and for the different conditions, and we can standardize these solar air heaters, especially for ventilation applications. So that is also one of the major research challenge. I am also working on that particular topic, topic. So the application of the solar air collectors, especially for ventilation applications. And with this brief information, I gave a very few information on applications of solar air collectors. Apart from this, so still we can extend these solar air collectors for new applications, because the requirement of industry requirements in day-to-day life, the heating requirement up to 60, up to 70, up to 80, even up some cases for drying of tea leaves, especially in the Ooty and near Valparaiso. So these are the two the tea estate. More tea estates are available, and for cardamom drying also. So they need some 80-degree consistent temperature, 80-degree temperature. So for such applications, it is very essential. We need to develop as a unique type of solar air heaters, especially to meeting their requirements. So achieving 130 degrees centigrade in solar air collectors is not possible. So because solar air collectors will have the maximum temperature, outlet temperature of around 80 degrees centigrade. Maximum it is possible we can get up to 80 degrees centigrade. But achieving 130 means at least we can save some amount of energy. And after 80 degrees, so from 30 to 80 we can use solar air collectors. After 80 we can go for some electrical resistance air heaters. So to achieve 130 degree, especially for tea leaf drying, to meet the tea leaf drying requirements. So and also for some applications, some textile applications, we require the to maintain the humidification, and also to maintain the humidity is very important, especially for the textile applications. In such applications, so we need to increase the humidity of air which is passing over the cloths. So that's also very important. And we need to increase the humidity. So how to increase the humidity? So that's also one of the major challenge. So why not we can try? Why not we can try with some solar air collectors? So we can explore such type of applications, real-time applications. Then only we can explore the more opportunities of this, more scope of this solar air collectors. Now, these are some of the performance improvement studies. So how we can improve this performance of solar air collectors? So one is by means of, so there are so many performance improvement. That one thing is very important thing is to increase this performance by because it's a thermophysical properties of air is not possible to change drastically. So either we can increase the flow, or you can control the flow rate, or we can increase the baffles, or we can increase some other roughness, turbulence, such type of flow configurations. If we make any changes, that is possible to increase this performance of solar air collectors. Whereas in the thermophysical properties are not possible to change anything. Whereas in the case of water, it is possible to have a very significant change in thermophysical properties. So for this case, so we are tried in the form of sensible or latent heat energy. We can try it. So that is so I also tried with the gravel as one of the major heat storage material for drying of copra, especially in the case of in the solar air heaters. And I also tried with some latent heat materials like paraffin wax is identified as one of the very good heat storage material, because its latent heat is around 50 to 55 degrees centigrade. So some paraffin wax, depending upon the purity, the melting point of this paraffin wax, it comes around 50 to 55 degrees centigrade. Suppose if we want to maintain a temperature of around 60 to 70 degrees centigrade, the paraffin wax was identified as one of the very good heat storage material for the heat storage material. And also we are tried with some fins, baffles, obstacles, and vertex generators also. We are using because of this we can increase the turbulence effect and this turbulence effect will create some of it, increase the heat transfer coefficient between the observer and the working fluid. So there is also a possible to increase this. There is also a very good possibility of increasing this heat transfer coefficient. Thereby, we can increase the energy and exergy efficiencies. And also, we are increasing its artificial roughness. So the observer plate, it's very important that observer plate roughness is very highly influencing factor. Even many research and developments are done in observer roughness. If you are increasing the roughness, the amount of energy, amount of solar radiation hitting the surface, hitting the observer surface is getting increased. So if it is getting increased automatically, absorptivity is increasing, then automatically it's possible to increase the hot air output. And so that's also possibilities there. And you have the jet imaging technique is also there. So many research and developments are being carried out on the jet imaging techniques. In a jet imaging technique, so we are providing the perforated plate. This perforated plate will make the airflow, which will increase the air velocity, which is hitting the observer bottom surface of the observer plate. So thereby it is possible to increase this heat transfer coefficient. So the jet imaging technique is also an interesting technique, and it is coming up. But still, so many research and development activities needs to be carried out. So I also tried with pin-fin observer plate. I'm planning to expand further with the help of some packed bed configurations. Okay, so these are some of the sensible and heat having sensible heat storage materials having some advantages. Having a very good having a sensible, it depends upon the particular thermophysical properties of the material, like specific heat, thermal diffusivity, coefficient of thermal expansion, density, and all. And it is during lean and off sunshine hours, the energy stored is during a peak sunshine hours, the amount of energy harvested harvested in the observer plate is absorbed, and it will be transferred to the working fluid. The excess fluid is absorbed by the heat storage material, which is placed above the observer plate. So that is also possible. So here sand, gravel, clay, concrete, and iron scraps have been identified as the good sensible heat storage materials. And it is the sensible heat storage material has enhanced the maximum outlet air temperature, whereas it is very difficult to retain the temperature for long duration. Suppose if we want to retain the temperature for long duration, we can go for a latent heat storage material. So there are two possibilities there. So which one is required, we have to identify. Suppose if I need a maximum temperature outlet, means then we can go for a sensible heat storage. Suppose if I want to retain a maximum outlet temperature for a long duration, means it's better to go for a latent heat storage materials. So latent heat storage materials having some drawbacks. Some drawbacks means because of a drastic volume changes. Because of drastic volume changes, it is very difficult to accommodate in a observer plate. So it is a very major problem, and there are so many additives. So they are reported in open literature to reduce these volume changes, because during this solid to liquid or liquid to solid. So during this phase change, there will be some drastic volume changes will be there. So that is also a problem. But the amount of heat storage in the heat storage material is more when comparing to the sensible heat storage material. There is a main advantage. It is possible to retain the temperature for long duration. And for extended surface, as I already said, the extended surface we can like obstacles, baffles, plates, and longitudinal fins, carbureted plates, recycled. So these are some of the extended surfaces which we are used in the observer plates to increase this heat transfer coefficient, and also to increase this outlet air temperature. But most of the extended surface reported in open literature are having the more aerodynamic resistance sharp edges. So this will lead to the this excess, the more sharp edges, and having the sharp baffles. So this will all create the more pressure drop across the solar air heater duct. So this pressure drop is influencing this, increasing this fan capacity. So this may increasing this fan capacity. So to overcome these drawbacks, we are to introducing some. We are introducing the baffles, fins, or some other material, some other extended surface with minimum drag resistance. That is very important, especially for designing solar air heaters. So these are some of the configurations we are reported in the open literature. So this is the longitudinal fin. This is the ribs we are maintaining. So these are the small obstacles we are placing in the path of airflow. And these are the small obstacles. So this is the small obstacles. These are the small recyclable canes. So we are introducing. So these are the ribs. We are vertex generators. We are placing in the observer plate to increasing the turbulence in the path of airflow, so that it is possible to increasing the heat transfer coefficient between the observer plate and the moving air. So these are the double pass air heaters, which is having the both top and bottom surface. We have this uh, turbulators and obstacles. So this will create the increase the heat transfer coefficients. So based on this, I am identified this solar air heaters needs to, the performance of the solar air heaters needs to be improved to increase this energy and energy efficiency. For this reason, we need to identify some suitable heat storage materials. At the same time, we need to identify some suitable extended surface with minimum drag resistance. And also we need to identify a very good, we need to focus on improvement of heat transfer coefficients. So the heat retain capacities also needs to be increased, especially in the case of solar air heaters. So these are the major problems we are facing in solar air heaters. So how to improve these problems? So the solar air heater means we need to focus in the two aspects. One is to increase the heat transfer coefficient. Another is to increase the one is to increase the heat transfer coefficient, and another is to reduce the lower power consumption. So these are the two major things we need to concentrate. So we are based on these objectives. We are focused on developing the pin-fin observer plate. So this is the solar experimental setup we have developed in our laboratory for increasing the for improving the performance of solar air heaters. We are providing the pin fins. So we are using the pin fins, and that too, these pin fins are having this capable of holding the PCM also. So I'll show it in the next slide. And I measured this. Having a small blower, we are using it for the pumping the air, and we are measuring the air flow rate with the help of orifice manometer setup. And the temperature at all the typical locations, we are connected with the help of, we are monitor this temperature with the help of K-type thermocouples. So all this it is connected to this digital temperature indicator of 0.1 degree resolution. And we have the solar intensity meter, and we have this wind velocity. There's anemometer, the cup type anemometer. All this is connected to this data logger, and the data logger is interfaced with the computer for online monitoring. And we are measured this relative humidity. Normally, it's measuring the relative humidity with using some measuring instruments is not that much accurate. So it is better to measure this ambient relative humidity with the help of sling cyclometer. So we are using this sling cyclometer for measuring this relative humidity of the ambient. And based on these measurements, we can use the psychrometry chart, and we have the established equations are also there. So we are used this. I used the psychrometry chart based on the dry bulb and wet bulb temperature measurements, and I plotted in a psychrometry chart and got the relative humidity. So this is this observer plate configuration, and we have the observer plate of the 2000 mm length and 1000 mm width. So we have this, and we have the roughly around 70 pin fins we are placed above this observer plate. So this is the photographic view of this observer solar air heater, and we are developed. So this is the solar air heater. It is a 2 meter square solar air heater, and we have this pin fin. So these have the pin fins like this, and this pin fin, it is having the, we are using this pin fin, and we are melt this wax. We are melt the wax, and we are pour this wax in the pin fins. So this is this is the it is here this pin fin is having a very minimum drag resistance when comparing to the baffles which we are already discussed in the open literature. So this is one of the here we are having this very minimum drag resistance, having the very minimum drag resistance. This minimum drag resistance, and this total surface is having a the here latent heat absorbed and latent heat removed by this phase change material, that is paraffin wax, is released to the lateral surface of this pin fin. So this half of the surface has a chance to absorb this heat during the solidification. So during the melting, so it is having a chance, it absorbs the solar energy and it will gets melted. And this top surface, because during when the air is flowing through this air heater, some amount of the wax presented from the top surface gets evaporated and mixed with the air. So that is a major problem we are identified during the experimentation. Because when we are filled with fully, and after 2 days, 3 days, nearly 20% of the wax may get evaporated and it will be moving along with the air. So this problem, to avoid this problem, so we are what we did is the top surface of this pin fins are covered with some plastic caps. So this plastic cap reduced this evaporation rate significantly. And even though but there is some bad smell may become may have be observed at the exit, but we need to provide some filtration at the exit of the solar air heaters, so that it is possible to control this these limitations or these technical issues. So that is also we are tried, but we are not used this for drying applications. So we are tested, but this still we need to explore more on this particular topic. And here we have made it with the 4 different type of observer plates. One is this flat observer plate, which we are used it for this as a reference. And this is the pin fin observer plate. This is a pin fin observer plate. We have this temperature measurements at 3 different locations in the path of airflow. And we have this triangular observer plate, and we have this circular tube observer plate. So this each observer plate having the different holding capacity. So this PCM is having a capacity. This pin fin observer plate is having the capacity of holding a 7 kg of PCM, and these two having this capable of having around 12 kg of PCM. So in each. So here it is possible to hold 12 kg. Here it is possible to hold 12 kg. So after here having this triangular configuration observer. So this triangular configuration, inside this we are filled with the paraffin wax. So this is a cylindrical arrangement. So here inside the tubes. So this is a copper tube. It is inside this tube we are filled with inside this copper tube we are filled with paraffin wax, and we are oriented this observer plate in this portion in the upside in the upward direction, so that the PCM will not be come out from this observer plate. And here these are the measuring instruments we are placed in for measuring this temperature, and this is a anemometer we are used, and this is a solar intensity meter used for monitoring the amount of solar energy collection in this particular during the experimentation. All these informations are connected to this data logger, and it is connected to the laptop for the online monitoring. So, and we are placing we are monitoring this airflow with the help of RFS meter manometer setup, which is placed here. This is an RFS meter manometer setup, and this is an RFS meter. This is a manometer, and it is connected in the path of airflow to monitor the airflow through the air heater. So, and also we are in addition to this, we are using the as I said sling cyclometer for monitoring the air humidity. So then before that it is very difficult to carry out this experiment for all the air mass flow rates, because it is very difficult, because we need to conduct more number of experiments, and if you conduct a lot of experiments and for each airflow mode and airflow rate, then it is experiment procedure will become too tedious, and because for that reason, I optimized this air flow rate for with the maximum thermohydraulic efficiency. Because we are choosing this thermohydraulic efficiency as one of the major indicator, because thermohydraulic efficiency which considers the pumping power also. So because the fat plate may have the different thermohydraulic efficiency, where each observer plate having a different thermohydraulic efficiency. So I tried it for a flat observer plate. What will be the maximum thermohydraulic efficiency for the different air mass flow rates? So after enough trials, we are observed that 0.03 kg per second was uh, identified as the optimum air flow rate, because it will produce the maximum thermohydraulic efficiency. And moreover, we are comparing with other studies reported in an open literature, which is also reported with the same similar air mass flow rate, especially for the similar 2 meter by 1 meter solar air heater configurations. So based on the literature and based on the experimental observations, what we have made in this study, so I optimized this air flow rate as a 0.3 kg per second. So after this, we are done an series of experiments with 4 different observer plate configurations, because conducting experiments on the solar thermal system is very difficult, and it is a very tedious one. And because it is achieving the same conditions, achieving the same ambient solar radiation conditions is very difficult to achieve. Because if you are doing some experiments, if you are doing some experimental observations today, the same experimental conditions, it's not possible to retrieve by tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So we are conducting a series of more number of experimental trials to study the transient behavior of this solar air heaters, and also to study the transient behavior, and also to study the how this solar air heater is working at the different climatic conditions. So we have done an experiment. We have done an extensive experimental trials in each observer plate. We have done 20 days trial in each month. So we are during the month of March, we are done for the period of 20 days, and for the during the month of April, 20 days, and in each observer plate configurations, we are done for a period of 20 days. So, and then we can identify the days which are having a similar ambient variations. So that is also very difficult, but I observed plus or minus 50%, plus or minus 50 watts per meter square. So that is also having a significant influence. But I observed within plus or minus 50%, if the solar intensity is false, then we can identify those days for the performance comparisons. So here also for this wind velocity is having a very drastic variation. Here plus or minus 3 meter per second, nearly plus or minus 3 meter per second deviation was observed for the wind velocity. Whereas in the case of solar intensity, it's a plus or minus 50 to 60 watts per meter square difference was observed. So no problem. So, but there is no other option. So otherwise, we need to develop a solar simulator and the solar simulator also it's very difficult to conduct the real-time experiments. So for that reason, it is better to conduct more number of experiments, and we can identify the trial days which is having a very closer the solar radiation, which is having a very closer wind velocity variations and ambient temperature. Wind velocity variation, closer variation is very difficult because it is a highly nonlinear parameter. So it is highly nonlinear, and it is very difficult to select a day with very similar wind velocity variations. At least we can select the solar intensity and ambient temperature. So these 2 parameters we can take it for with a similar variation. So I preferred for give a chance to solar radiation, and second chance to this ambient temperature, and I didn't give any preference for wind velocity variations, because this wind velocity is having it's very difficult, because having more than 3 meter per second. So I skipped that one. So with these 2 parameters, I selected this 21st day of the March, 21st day of the April, and 22nd day of the May, and 20th day of the July, and 23rd day of September. So these days are having the during these days the similar solar radiation and ambient temperature variations were observed. And here, these are some of the typical experimental observations at the inlet and outlet and observer plate temperature. So here, normally this inlet temperature is very closer to the ambient temperature, with plus or minus 0.1, or sometimes it may have the 0.5 degree temperature difference may be there. But because of the inlet air duct in the near to the inlet air duct, some preheating effect may be there. But this temperature is mostly, it is very closer to the ambient temperature. Whereas here the outlet air temperature is very significantly is increasing up to 55 degrees centigrade, and it will be comes down at the end of the day around 6 o'clock. It comes down around nearly closer to the ambient temperature. Whereas this observer plate, even I have used the normally we are using the MS plate observer plate, mild steel observer plate. So because it's more expensive, if you are using a copper observer plate, it is more expensive, and it is not it is not economically feasible to develop an air heater with copper observer plate. Because if you are using a copper observer plate, it is very good and it is capable of retaining the heat, and it will be conduct the heat to the heat storage material. That is everything. It's good, but it's very difficult to because it is very difficult. Affordability is very difficult. So as we are used this mild steel observer plates, and here this the observer plate we are measuring at every 10 minutes interval, and this observer plate has reached the maximum temperature of around 67-68 degrees centigrade during the peak 68 degrees centigrade during 2 o'clock. And it maximum in most of the solar air heater cases, the steady state temperature has reached around 2 to 3. Because normally for any residential building applications, we are the residential building for building walls, it will attain the steady state by 4 o'clock. So now, whereas in our experiments, we are observed the steady state temperature, we are observed by around 2 o'clock, it has reached the maximum temperature. After this, it will become falls down. So, but the temperature fall during this afternoon is a very fast in the case of flat observer plate when comparing to the other observer plate configurations. Here, this is the typical temperature observations at the three locations in an path of airflow. One is the observer plate temperature. So this is an ambient temperature. This is an air outlet temperature, and this is an observer plate temperature. In this case, it is observed that during the afternoon, so the maximum temperature has reached around 3 o'clock, whereas the maximum after the maximum temperature has reached in the case of flat observer plate, after it reaches this maximum temperature of around 60-65 degrees centigrade, and it falls down in the afternoon, very fast fall down. Whereas in this case, the pin fin observer plate packed with PCM. Here it is a pin fin packed with PCM. It has the maximum observer plate temperature of around 67-68 degrees centigrade, and this 68 degrees centigrade was retained for the period of 2 to 3 hours, because during the peak sun, because during the 11:30, after this 11:30, there will be some phase change in the phase change behavior we are observed in the heat storage material. The paraffin gets melted, and it is capable of absorbing the heat. During this, the paraffin wax gets charged, and it will be this temperature was retained for the period of 2 to 3 hours. And during this, after this 4 o'clock, it starts discharging the paraffin wax starts discharging the heat to the hot air, so that the hot air temperature was retained. Maximum air temperature was retained, and we are providing with additionally 2 hours higher temperature is possible. Higher outlet air temperature is possible in the case of pin fin observer plate. Whereas in the case of other observer plate configuration, flat observer plate configuration, this difference is it will be up with the temperature has reached very closer to the ambient temperature or the inlet air temperature by the end of around 6 o'clock. Whereas in this case, it will be extended for another 2 hours so that it is possible to increase the energy efficiency and also possible to maintain higher air temperature even after the 6 o'clock. So that advantage is possible with the case of PinFin observer. And in the case of a triangular observer tube, so that is also a very interesting one because it is a every 10 minutes interval. So we are observed that the temperature of the observer plate is having a significant increase during this period of the 1 o'clock in the average maximum temperature has reached around 60 to 8 to 70 degree. It is possible to obtain because in this case during the charging during 11 so 11 to 11:30 the charging of the PCM is gets charged is getting starts taking place until the 2 o'clock the charging is taking place. After this liquid that the PCM is maintained in the liquid state for another period of 1 or 2 hours. Around 4 o'clock the PCM is starts discharging the heat and it maintains this higher air temperature and maintains the higher air temperature till 9 o'clock. So it is possible to maintain the higher air temperature because in this case triangular observer plate, as I already said, it is a more quantity of PCM. Roughly, I think it is around 13 kg of PCM as stored in this PCM. So it is possible to retain the higher outlet air temperature additionally for the period of 3 hours in the case of triangular observer plate, whereas 2 hours is possible in the case of a PinFin observer plate. So, and the air temperature, higher outlet air temperature, nearly 5 to 5 degree temperature enhancement is possible. At the same time, for 3 hours additional duration is possible. So these advantages we can use it for the to get the more temperature, high outlet air temperature, and also the for the additional 3 hours duration. There is an advantage. Whereas in this case of circular observer plate, the temperature is gradually it gets increased and it reaches around the maximum temperature of around 68 degrees centigrade during the period of 2 o'clock, and then it will be attaining the steady state, and it will be as I already observed in other packed bed configuration. Here, this charging is taking place during the period of 11:30 to 2 o'clock. There will be charging period. After this 2 to 4, the temperature is retained. After 4 o'clock, the PCM start discharging the heat, and it will be till it is 9 o'clock. The PCM has chance to release the latent heat. In this case, we are charging roughly around 13 to 14 kg. 13 to 14 kg of PCM, it is possible to hold it in this observer plate, so that PCM has a chance to release this release the latent heat and sensible heat also, so that it is possible to maintain higher outlet air temperature of around 4 to 6 degrees centigrade when comparing to the flat observer plate. Here, in this case, it is possible to observe the variation of outlet air temperatures with the different plate configurations. So now I made it as a simulation. So now I made a ANN simulation. So we are developed an ANN tool to simulate all this performance comparison for a typical on a same day, because we are based on this experimental observations. We are for each tool. For each observer plate, we are developing an ANN model, and we are predicting this outlet air temperature for each observer plate configuration. And I made a simulation, and based on the simulation, I made it for a single day, that is on 23/9/2014. So I made for this day, and during this day, I made a comparison. For this day. It is observed that the maximum air temperature of around 60 degrees centigrade was observed in the case of 60 degrees centigrade was observed in the case of it's not PinFin, it's in the case of PinFin, but maximum temperature was observed, but the PinFin is capable of storing only for the additional duration of 2 hours. But in the case of the fall of temperature, whereas it is the fall of temperature in the case of flat observer plate, after 2 o'clock, there is a steep fall of temperature in the case of observer plate. Whereas in the case of packed bed, it is possible to retain for the temperature for the period of uh, during afternoon during afternoon hours, even after up to 4 o'clock, the temperature, higher temperature is possible to maintain. After 3 o'clock, the efficiency, the outlet air temperature falls down due to the discharging of heat from the PCM. And here we have this, the pin-fin observer plate have the additional duration of 2 hours, whereas in this case of a circular and triangular tube observer plate configuration has a period of 3 hours. So these two observer plate configurations, so these two observer plate configurations have more duration of energy of heat has maintained the maximum outlet air temperature when comparing to the other two observer plates. And here it is, we are comparing this thermohydraulic efficiency. So this thermohydraulic efficiency is very important parameter we need to focus for us solar air heaters. And we also simulate this thermohydraulic efficiency for 23/9/2014. And for this case, the thermohydraulic efficiency was falls steeply as an outlet air temperature after the 2 o'clock. Whereas in this case, the temperature was retained up to 4 o'clock. Up to 4 o'clock, the maximum temperature and the maximum thermohydraulic efficiency was observed. And this thermohydraulic efficiency is higher when comparing to other two. In the case of pin-fin observer plate, is higher when comparing to other two observer plates, because this pin-fin observer plate, is having minimum drag resistance compared to the circular and triangular plate. So because of minimum drag resistance, in the thermohydraulic pumping power, there's a pumping power of the blower gets reduced. So this reduced pumping power has increased this thermohydraulic efficiency than other two observer plates. But however, the drop in temperature, the drop in outlet air temperature after 5 o'clock has reduced this thermohydraulic efficiency when comparing to this triangular and circular observer plate. Where at the end of the day, at the end of the experimentation during the 9 o'clock, the efficiency falls down around 23% in the case of circular and triangular tube. Whereas at the end of the experimentation around 8 o'clock, the efficiency has dropped down to the 30% in the case of pin-fin observer plate. Whereas in the case of thermohydraulic efficiency has dropped to around 20%, whereas in the during the period during the time of 6 o'clock in the case of flat observer plate. Whereas in the next I come the exergy efficiency. This exergy efficiency again I am simulated for a same day, and the exergy efficiency seems to be very high when comparing to this flat observer plate. This exergy efficiency is very high when comparing to this, because the energy lost from the flat observer plate is significantly, it is stored and it is absorbed by this packed bed observer plates. So this energy, because of the energy absorption, because of the energy heat loss, because of observing the heat which is lost from the observer plate by these phase change materials, it is possible to maintain higher exergy efficiency when comparing to this flat observer plate. In the case of flat observer plate, they having the more energy losses, and the exergy efficiency is very low when comparing to this packed bed configurations. Here, this packed bed configuration, the latent heat packed in the observer plate, is capable of absorbing the heat, which is observing the excess heat. So the excess heat is stored and it will be retained for another duration of 2 to 3 hours. So 2 to 3 hours. So that's possibility is there, whereas that possibility is not available with the flat observer plate. Because of that, the exergy efficiency has dropped when comparing to the packed bed. So from this, I can conclude that the packed bed observer plates are capable of observing more amount of energy. At the same time, it is capable of maintaining the heat for longer duration. because of maintaining the higher temperature and higher absorption of excess heat, which is harvested in the observer plate, it is possible to reduce the heat loss. And it is, if the heat loss is reduced, the exergy efficiency automatically it gets increased. So, and these are the pressure drop calculations. And in the case of pressure drop calculations, it is noticed that pin observer plate, here it is having the flat observer plate is having a minimum pressure drop, whereas the pin observer plate is having a very high. So next to the flat observer plate, we have the pin observer plate, whereas the circular observer plate is having the more pressure drop across the air heater duct when comparing to the other configurations. So the pressure drop calculations. So here in this case, the pressure drop across this air heater duct is very essential to calculate the pumping power. And so these are some of the major conclusions I made in this first experimentation. I'm going to project this 3 experimental case studies. So first experimental study, I may read out this very fastly. So the air mass flow rate is optimized to 0.3 kg per second, and 2 to 6 degree higher outlet temperature is possible to achieve in the case of forced convection solar air heater using a packed bed observer plate. And the energy efficiency, thermohydraulic efficiency, that is called exergy efficiency, sorry, energy efficiency or thermohydraulic efficiency is increased by 3 to 40% when comparing to the flat observer plate, and the exergy efficiency is possible to improve by 2 to 20% when comparing to the flat observer plate, and the packed bed, the pressure drop in the packed bed observer plate is about 70% higher than conventional observer plate. So these are some of the major observations I made in this first research. So this is a part of my one of my research scholar has done this work. And second case study, and I made a similar one, and I used this instead of using a same packed bed using a PCM. I tried with some kind of simple solid pin fins. Here it is having a solid pin fin. This pin fin is it is an aluminum pin fin. So this is, it's not clear, but I will show it another photograph that will give a clear picture of this pin fins. This pin fin, in this case we are using the aluminum pin fin of 32 mm diameter. This aluminum of 32 mm diameter with a 25 mm height. So this pin fin we are hold it in the observer plate. So this pin fin is having a very minimum drag resistance. This pin fin is having a very minimum drag resistance, and moreover, very minimum drag resistance, and also we have this very minimum drag resistance, and also having it leads to very minimum pumping power when comparing to the other extended surface reported in open literature. Here, as I already discussed this in instrumentation, everything are very similar to the previous experimentation, but here I kept this solar air heater in the indoor, but we are done while we are doing experiment, we will take it outside and we can do the experimentation, and after that we will get back to the, so that to improve the life of these systems. Here I observed, so this I made it during the year 2018. I similar type of experimentation I developed, and I have the similar days I observed, and these are some of the ambient variations and ambient wind velocity variations. And here, the outlet air temperature has reached around 78 degrees centigrade. So, sorry, 75 degrees centigrade. Roughly, it comes around 75 degrees centigrade. Whereas in the case of packed PCM packed pin fin observer plate, we may have around maximum outlet air temperature of around 67-68 degrees centigrade, maximum temperature. Whereas in this case, it is observed that maximum temperature of around 74 degrees centigrade was observed. That may be only reason because of this aluminum pin fins which are placed over the observer plate is capable of observing more amount of heat and retain and enhance this air temperature very significantly higher when comparing to this PCM. Whereas in this PCM observer plate, So the PCM is capable of, that's a paraffin wax is capable of absorbing some amount of heat. So because of that, air temperature we cannot increase more than 67, 66, 67 degrees centigrade. It's very difficult. Whereas in this case, the outlet air temperature we can obtain around 75 degrees centigrade is possible in the case of pin-fin observer plate, it's aluminum pin-fin observer plate. And the exergy efficiency is also increased up to 35 degrees, 35 percentage. And it is, nearly here it is possible around here it is possible around 10 to 15 percentage it is possible to improve, and the thermohydraulic efficiency is also significantly improved. And because of this energy absorbed in this pin-fin observer plate, the energy loss can be reduced. So because of that, the exergy efficiency can be improved up to 25 percentage in the case of pin-fin observer plate using aluminum pin-fins. In this case, I can give a very common conclusion. It is a pin-fin observer plate. It's a maximum of 75 degrees centigrade is possible to obtain, and the 70 degree improved outlet air temperature was observed, and the energy efficiency was increased by 3 to 8 percentage. 3 to 8 percentage. Exergy efficiency can significantly improve up to 9 percentage, and thermohydraulic efficiency can improve up to 24 percentage because of presence of yes.
Here we can hear.
Yes.
Kavita, maybe there is some problem with your system. Just go out and come back in, or try to.
Hello. Hello, Deepan Raj.
Sir, it is clear here.
So, okay.
So what is the problem from the participant side?
So we stopped in the middle.
Why the meeting was postponed? I need a
Some disturbance.
place where we had the party.
Sir, here it is clear. You can
Okay.
check your system. Any other participants are facing issues?
Okay, can I proceed?
Yeah, you can proceed, sir.
Okay. And the exergy efficiency can be increased up to 9%, up to 9 percentage, and thermohydraulic efficiency is also increased up to 24 percentage. And this pressure drop across this pin-fin is around 60 percentage higher than when comparing to this flat observer due to the presence of drag resistance. Then, so this is a third case study. Here I use this same pin-fin observer plate. So pin-fin observer plate. Here I introduce this. Perforated plate. So here I introduce this perforated plate. This is a perforated plate dimensions I mentioned here. So this is observer plate dimension, and this is a perforated plate which is placed below the observer plate. So this here in this case, the capacity of the blower should be significantly higher when comparing to this other type. In this case, I used 1 HP blower. I used 1 HP blower to increase the airflow rate. In this case, the high velocity air which is hitting the bottom surface of the observer plate, the high velocity air which is hitting the bottom surface of the air, when air is passing through this jet openings, the air velocity is very significantly gets increased. When the air velocity significantly gets increased, automatically it is increased in the heat transfer coefficient. Here I measured the pressure drop across this air heater duct and also the airflow rate passing through the air heaters. Here the pressure, for this we are installed the 2 manometer or manometers. One manometer is for measuring the air pressure drop, and another manometer is used for measuring the airflow rate. Here also all the temperatures have been measurements are connected to the digital temperature indicator of 0.1 degree resolution. So this is the sectional view which shows that airflow. This is a jet plate. This is the jet plate. This is a pin observer plate. This is the glass surface. This is a tempered glass surface. This is the insulation we have provided. So here this is the observer plate which I showed in the as like in the previous case. This is an observer plate. These are the aluminum pin fins. These are the aluminum pin fins of 32 mm diameter and 23 mm height. And these are the pin fins. Nearly 120 pin fins have been placed. So these are the dimensions we are placed. This is placed in the transverse arrangement. Transverse arrangement. So it's in the diagonal way they are arranged. And these are the jet plates. So here I have the 8 mm holes. 8 mm jet holes we have provided in the jet plate. These 8 mm holes will make this will channelize, or we are equalize this airflow, and which is when the air when the high velocity air when it is comes during this when it is comes out through this jet plate, definitely there will be significant pressure drop. So because of this, there will be significant gain in kinetic energy. If this gain in air velocity means the high air velocity when it is hitting the observer plate, it is possible to extract maximum amount of, it is possible to get maximum amount of heat absorbed by from the observer plate, so that we cannot waste the we cannot waste the amount of energy harvested in the observer plate. In the here, the amount of energy harvested here, here the bottom surface is the bottom surface of this observer plate is effectively utilized for observing the heat. Because of that, only the chance of heat lost to the surrounding is through the sides. So the sides are also well, it is perfectly insulated so that to reduce the heat loss. So in this case, because of increasing this air velocity, it is possible to increasing the heat transfer coefficient. So as we already, everybody knows, the increasing in air velocity, automatically it's increasing this heat transfer coefficient. Using this configuration, I observed this maximum outlet air temperature of around 78 degrees centigrade, but the climatic condition is maybe different. Whereas in this case, so maximum of 78 degrees centigrade was observed. So again, in this case, I optimized this airflow for the different airflow rates, and I optimized it to the 0.025 kg per second. And based on this, I optimized based on I made a complete experimentation only for this optimal airflow rate. Here I done this experimental validation, and I calculated the Nusselt number, and I compared with this Dirichlet equation, and these Nusselt numbers are very closer to this experimental value, and also calculated the frictional factor. So this frictional factor is also very closer to this experimental value. So I think the experimental for validating the experimental setup, I use this. I compare this experimentally predicted Nusselt number and experimentally predicted friction factor with this established equation, Balcy's equation for the friction factor, and a Dirichlet equation for Nusselt numbers, and it is very closer. It is plus or minus 5%. These values are arrived. So and we are observed this outlet air temperature. In this case of pin-fin observer, we are observed that around 78 degree we are observed, and in the case of flat observer plate, it will be around 68 degrees centigrade was observed. And here the energy efficiency was increased from 40%. It is increased to the 70%. Up to 70% we are increased, and in this case, for the flat observer plate, it will be increased up to 65%, and it will be falls down to around 30%. It falls down to the 30% during the period of 8 o'clock. So during the 8 o'clock, we will arrive this maximum efficiency of around 25%. Here it will be comes down in the around 6 o'clock. The outlet air temperature will be comes down. So here in this case, the outlet air temperature is comes down around 30 to 33 degrees centigrade. Because of that, we are stopped at this point. After 6 o'clock, we are not done any experimentation in the case of flat observer plate. The main purpose of adding this jet impingement technique is to increase the heat transfer coefficient. Thereby, we can increase this air temperature of around 68 degrees centigrade in the case of flat plate, and we can increase the air temperature of around 68 degrees centigrade in the case of flat observer plate, and in the case of pin-fin observer plate around 78 degrees centigrade. So Whereas in the case of energy efficiency, also significantly we can improve if you are using jet impingement technique. And the thermohydraulic efficiency, because during morning hours, during lean sunshine hours, the thermohydraulic efficiency will become zero. It will become zero because we need to pump, we need to provide more amount of energy. We need to provide, because it's roughly, I'm telling, roughly it will take, I thought of it is a, sorry, sorry, I mentioned it is a one HP is a 0.5 HP blower. So 380 watts pump blower. So 380 watts is half HP pump. So half HP blower we are using. So half HP blower means during morning up to 10 o'clock. So there is the energy we need to, extra electrical energy we need to spend to increase the to maintain the airflow and to maintain the airflow. So after 10 o'clock only the thermohydraulic efficiency is significant, and it becomes around 5%, and it has reached the maximum thermohydraulic efficiency of around 50 to 55% during the peak sunshine hour, and it falls down to around 10% during the end of the day. It's around 6 o'clock, but so after 6 o'clock, it is or after 5 o'clock for the case of flat observer plate, there will be no thermohydraulic efficiency, because it will become negative, because we need to supply extra electrical energy to run the blower, and to run the blower of half HP blower to maintain the temperature. Okay, and in the case of exergy efficiency, in the case of exergy efficiency, it will be in the case of pin-fin observer plate is significantly higher when comparing to the flat observer plate. The reason for increasing this increase in exergy efficiency is due to the absorption of more amount of heat in the observer plate when comparing to this the flat observer plate. And in the case of pressure drop, in the case of pressure drop, the pressure drop is it is depending upon the airflow rate, and in the pressure drop gets increased with increase in airflow rate. Now we are based on the thermohydraulic efficiency, as I already shown in the previous graph. The maximum thermohydraulic efficiency for this jet impingement jet impingement air heater was observed as 0.025 kg per second. So I identified this 0.025 kg per second as an optimal airflow rate, especially for this particular application. And the common conclusion is the airflow rate was optimized to 0.025 kg per second, and the jet impingement technique using pin-fin observer plate has increased the temperature of around 4.4 degrees centigrade when comparing to the flat observer plate. And the maximum outlet air temperature of around 77.2 degrees centigrade was observed. Roughly, I'm telling it's around 78 degrees, but it is around 77.2 degrees centigrade was observed. And the energy efficiency was improved by 3 to 10% using pin-fin observer plate. And the thermohydraulic efficiency was increased around 6% when comparing to the flat observer plate. And the exergy efficiency is also increased around 6% when comparing to flat observer plate. And the pressure drop is very, very sensitive matter, because the pressure drop is more than 90%. It's around 90% higher. So nearly is I may observe 90%, whereas in some other cases it may be 100%. It may be it's around 100%. It is higher than flat observer plate. So it is very critical issue. So pressure drop is one of the major drawback in the case of jet impingement solar air heaters. So with this, what I'm going to say is jet impingement air heaters will produce very high air temperature outlets, and with improved energy efficiency, and with improved exergy efficiency, and the use of pin-fins. One more research attempt we may try in the double pass. So here I tried with the single pass, because I tried with the single pass airflow through the bottom alone. So one may can try in the both sides, above the observer plate, below the observer plate, so that it's possible to increase the heat significantly, and it's possible to supply more amount of air and improve the more energy efficiency, and also to improve the exergy efficiency. So this also is a further attempt, and I also have one more student to work out on the double pass jet emission solar architects. I'm suggesting another student to carry out this next level. Okay, so these are some of the major outcomes. So pressure drop is one of the major thing, but to increase the thermohydraulic efficiency, and the thermohydraulic efficiency is another major problem, which is having around 6% only. But what I suggest is you can introduce some variable frequency drive motor so that we can vary the airflow rate according to the climatic conditions. So suppose if it is a peak sunshine, we can have a maximum speed to get more heat output. Suppose if the temperature is falls down, so we can reduce this as lower speed so that we can maximize the thermohydraulic efficiency. So that may be considered as a future research scope. And I suggest that also in another research task to another PhD student. And these are some of the major publications I made out of this solar air heaters, what I presented. If you want, you can go through these papers also, because one paper is published in thermal analysis, two papers in thermal analysis and calorimetry, and one in green energy and one in process mechanical engineering. So these are some of the papers published out of this presentation. Thank you. Any questions?
Sir, there are a lot of questions they typed in the chat box, sir.
Okay, sir. We'll, no problem. I will come to the chat.
Okay. Okay.
Sixty-six questions. I think.
It contains some normal messages also, feedbacks and other things.
Okay.
So in that we can.
So I will read one by one. No problem. I have attended the previous session.
Sir, what is the thickness of observer plate must be kept?
It's 1.2 mm thick. So 1.2 mm thick, it is having some stiffness. That stiffness can at least 1.2 mm thick MS plate is sufficient.
So
Is there any method? Is there any method to determine number of air changes per hour? Number of air changes, that means air changes for a drying is different, for hospital medical application it's different. For different applications, the ASTRAE standard is available. So we can go through the ASTRAE standard to get the air changes, number of air changes required for some specific applications we can identify. Then what is the thickness of observer plate must be kept. So thickness of observer plate 1.2 mm is standard thickness. More than this is not required, but less than this it is very difficult. The stiffness is not possible to maintain. How to calculate thermohydraulic performance to evaluate? So thermohydraulic performance means the energy output. The energy output means MCP into del T, mass flow rate of air into CP of air into T outlet minus T inlet minus pumping power divided by area of the collector, observer area into solar radiation. So divide pannina, we can get the thermohydraulic efficiency, and we can make observer plate with aluminum plate. Aluminum again, it is also a expensive. According to me, aluminum is also an expensive. So it is better to go for MS plate. That is very economical one. Aluminum plate with black coating necessary, sir? Yes, definitely. To increase the absorptivity, it is very essential. It is very essential to coat with black paint. So then absolutely black coating is necessary for any type of observer plate. The black coating is very essential. And configuration. PinFin is a configuration to reduce the drag resistance. I am using PinFin. Even you can use some other configuration also. Even you can use baffles, or you can use pins, or you can use some other configurations, but PinFin will give the maximum thermohydraulic efficiency. Problem, sir. How to take the radiation value? Which equipment? Now, so this is very interesting one. The pyranometer is a right equipment used for measuring the solar radiation, but the cost of pyranometer is very high, and it's not affordable. Here we are using the small prototype, small instrument which gives the light intensity value, and also it gives the approximate value only. So what we are having is we are buying from the local shop, and this this solar intensity meter I compared with pyranometer, and I calibrated with the pyranometer, and we got that plus or minus 5 to 10 watts per meter square difference will be there. But by and large, it gives closer value. Plus or minus 10 watts per meter square in the range of 0 to 1000 watts per meter square is not a big problem. So we are used this solar intensity meter, which is available in the local market. Google Meet ID is what is the main significance of energy and exergy efficiencies? So the energy efficiency is to quantify the energy conversion from one form to another form. Exergy efficiency is to quantify the how much amount of energy is lost to the systems. So one to quantify and another to for any thermal, especially solar thermal equipment, for assessment of energy as well as exergy is very essential. How exergy calculations? These calculations I gave it in my paper. So if you want, you can you can go through my paper, and I can share that paper to the organizers, to Deepan Raj. So I can Deepan Raj, you can download my papers and share that in the group so that they can refer the exergy calculations directly, please. Then any other questions?
So participants, if you have any other questions. Okay, sir, I think there is no question. So we can go for the concluding session. So thank you very much, Professor, for your valuable time spending here. So really, we enjoyed the session. I hope that the session was very much informative to all the participants. So today we got so much knowledge regarding the hair eaters. So it's practical experience Professor has explained to us. So really, I am very grateful to you for sharing your valuable knowledge here, sir.
Thank you, Deepan Raj.
So we hope one more session on day after tomorrow. Professor will explain about his experience on solar heat pumps. So thank you very much, Professor, for your valuable. Participants, tomorrow 9:30 we can meet. Thank you very much. So the same link can be used for all the sessions.